Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Tuesday, December 27th, 2016. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change, joined as always on Tuesdays by Duane Long. Duane, how are you this fine morning?
Oh, I'm feeling Carly Simon this morning, Dan. Anticipation. I'm ready now for the game. I'm ready.
Some people would have called that the Heinz ketchup feeling, but that just dates us as children of the 70s, but I digress. I want to give you guys some programming notes here. As we all know, the Buckeyes touched down yesterday in Arizona in prep for the Fiesta Bowl. Got a chance to see the guys come off the plane and talk for a bit. Keep in mind, we are on Mountain Standard Time here, so everything's going to feel like it's a little bit later than usual. Today, the Buckeyes will bring out Ed Warner, J.T. Barrett, Curtis Samuel, Billy Price, Pat Elflein, and Mike Weber at 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. For us, that means 10:30 a.m. So we'll get access to them right around then, and we'll carry on from there. I think we give everyone license to sleep in an extra 2 hours and adjust your schedules forward this week, and we'll have complete coverage starting today. Again, we get access to the offensive side of the guys, Warner, Barrett, Samuel, Price, Elflein, and Weber. As an example, tomorrow morning at the same time, we will get the defensive side of the ball, which should be interesting because you have the Fickle, Schiano crew in there, and then some guys like Malik Hooker, Tyquan Lewis, Raekwon McMillan, Chris Worley, and Jalen Holmes. But today, offensive guys, interviews start around 10:30 a.m. East Coast time, so you can expect some coverage in earnest right about then. We're going to start with Duane here quickly on a little recruiting nugget. Jake Tufele has come out with his top 5. Tufele, of course, one of the remaining gems on the Buckeye recruiting board, the defensive tackle from Utah. I am not feeling too positive about this. I don't care who he had in his top 5 along with Ohio State. I have kind of resigned myself to the fact that Tufele will not be a Buckeye. Duane, you are the speaker on all things linemen. What's your vibe?
I haven't felt it for a long time. We kept hearing just little bits and pieces that his family is really involved and they want him to stay close to home. I don't think he's leaving the state. I don't think I'd love to have him because I actually think I would prefer him to Marvin Wilson. I know Wilson's got all the credentials and all that, but Tufele, I just think he's a little bit better football player. Both of them top 5 in the country, no doubt. I'd love to have him, but I just don't think he's going anywhere but Utah. I think everybody else is just fooling themselves. Family is just way too interested in keeping him close to home.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get as well. That started to raise its head, I would say, about 3 or 4 months ago when we heard that was really possible. Then I heard that there's a chance he might go to Michigan because there's somebody new on that staff, but at least he's not going to Michigan and staying out in the Pac-12. All right, let's get into this game. This will be Duane's last appearance before the game against Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl. So today we're going to break it down Duane style. Duane's going to give you his keys to victory for the Buckeyes, and I'm going to get a prediction on winner and score. Duane, key number 1 to the Buckeyes getting it done in the Fiesta Bowl.
Turnovers. That's the downside of Watson. He'll give it up. I think he'll put it up, and I think we're going to get 2. If we keep ours to 0, I think that definitely impacts the game. And really, to me, that's going to be the key. If we can win the turnover battle, especially if we keep ours to 0, we don't need to turn over, and that's one thing J.T. Barrett does not do is throw the ball away. 5 interceptions on the year, 24 touchdowns. Last time I checked, I think there was, with Watson, it was 28 touchdown passes, 13 interceptions.
Interesting statistic. For the year, Ohio State is plus 16 in the turnover battle. Clemson is even. And we know Clemson played a schedule in which they were the more talented team on the field at least 8 or 9 times conservatively. And to be even in turnovers, to me, I would say that plays into Ohio State's favor. Key number 2.
I believe that line play is going to be absolutely important. It's the one thing that Clemson, their defense, it's if you were looking for a strength, it's in the defensive line. If we can move those guys off the ball, it's going to be a long night for them. Their secondary is not outstanding. If we can run the ball, just run it right at them, and then they're going to have to tighten up, come up, and bring more people into the box, and then we can throw the ball too. That's going to be absolutely important. And on the other side, we've got to be able to get pressure on Watson. Got to get at him, and they haven't protected him that great. So I think there's a possibility we win that battle. That's going to be huge. Both sides of the ball, we've got to win. Right at the line of scrimmage.
And Ohio State,
Number 3.
I think, hold a sec. Ohio State, I think, has the horses to do that. Keep in mind, Clemson, like we said, is the most talented team in the ACC. How many games this year have they played against another team of equal line caliber? To be fair, Ohio State hasn't done it that much. But I do think the experience Ohio State has against Michigan in their most recent game will actually work in their favor here. Key number 3.
Key number 3 is going to be quarterback play. Which quarterback brings his A game? If it's going to be real interesting if both of them do. Barrett can play. We've seen him be a record-breaking quarterback. He's got some game. You know, all the fuss on the message board about it is pretty ridiculous when you look at his numbers. If you look at quarterback rating, there not a full point separates Watson, number 2 in the Heisman race, looking like a first-round draft pick, and J.T. Barrett. Whatever quarterback brings his A game, if Watson's not throwing interceptions and he's on target, it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a tough night for us. But if J.T. Barrett also brings his A game, it's going to be tough on the Clemson defense. Their secondary is not that good. So quarterback play is going to be vitally important here. Number 4.
Yep.
Field position. We don't need to get into a situation where we are having to slog 8, 10 plays, go 80 yards every time we get the football. We've seen it all year. Field position has had an enormous impact on this team because we're a run-first team. And when you're trying to put together series where you're just driving the ball like that and you're taking 8, 10, 12 plays to score, it really is, you're asking a lot of your offense. If we get short fields and where we can just run right at them, Clemson's going to have a tough night. That may be the most important aspect other than turnovers when you get right down to it. Is if we've got short fields, if we're only having to move the ball 50, 60 yards instead of 80 and 90, we're going to be tough to beat.
I agree with that. It's interesting. Out of the mouth of babes, I was watching the Monday Night Football game last night with my youngest son, and he turned to me and said, "Dad, do you think we would win the game? We still had Zeke." And my answer was yes. Good gracious. I would feel much better if we had one more player on the offense with some more explosive qualities to kind of make up for mistakes. But I digress. Duane, give us your final pick, winner and score, Fiesta Bowl.
I think we're going to win it 27-20. I don't think we can shut Watson down completely. They don't have a great running attack, so we can pin our ears back and get after him some. And I think that there's enough holes in their defense that we'll be able to take advantage of it. It's how much we can actually beat them pretty clearly if Barrett is really on his game. But I'm saying 27-20. I think we win the line of scrimmage battle. I think Watson turns the ball over. And, as I said, the field position is going to be key. If we're not having to drive the ball a lot, long drives every time we get it to score, we're going to be tough to beat.
I'll say this. If Ohio State only gives up 20 points, they're winning this football game. Just for ha-has, if they beat Clemson, that means they would advance to the championship game in Tampa. Who do you see being their opponent in that game?
Alabama is going to whip Washington so bad it's going to be embarrassing. I really do believe that. Washington, I think Penn State or Michigan should have been in there instead of Washington. Washington had just such an easy schedule. And, the Pac-12 is just really bad this year. And they played two teams that could beat them, and they won on Utah. They beat them on a late kick return, and USC beat them. So I just don't think Washington can stand up to them. I really think that Alabama dominates them.
Well, there you have it, Bucknutters. Ohio State will beat Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl and move on for a meeting with Alabama in the national championship game, which I imagine will do decent television ratings. We appreciate you being here. Don't forget, complete coverage out of Arizona. 3 Bucknuts reporters there with bells on, Hellwagon, Murphy, and Biddle. Adjust your clocks forward a little bit. Interviews start around 10:30. Have a great one, Bucknutters.